Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms. And these are Charter Moms chats where we've been doing live videos to help parents find resources and just ways to navigate the pandemic with their kids, ways to keep learning at home, talking about different schools of choice in San Antonio, how to get your kids enrolled. And I'm so excited today. So this is Character Education Week in Texas. And to honor that, we have a special guest. We have Tamra Nast from character.org, and her role is Director of Training and Coaching. And I've really enjoyed talking to Tamra because she comes from a school counseling background, and she's worked in public schools for many years. Now she works at character.org. She helps schools to build up their character education programs. And she's got resources for families. We're going to talk about the School of Science and Technology, which they were instrumental in getting Character Education Week declared, proclaimed by the governor. And we've got resources for families and stuff to do at home. So Tamra, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
And so I wanted you to explain more about character.org and what is your role as Director of Training and Coaching?
Well, my role as far as Director of Training and Coaching is I take the 11 principles of character, the framework, and I teach those 11 principles in schools basically across the world. And anything that has to do with the 11 principles, we provide virtual trainings as well as on site when we can. Right now, we're mostly virtual, obviously, but most of the time we do take them on the road as well.
Yeah. And I know that's something we have to look forward to today. You're going to give us an overview about the 11 principles framework. So I wanted to make sure and tie this in with the School of Science and Technology, because they're the ones who connected us so that we could talk about this. And that I have my little printout here. So this is the proclamation from the governor's office, or this is my little copy of it. But he declared November 15th to 21st, 2020 to be Character Education Week. And last year, they had Character Education Day. But as Mr. Abel De Leon likes to say, everything's bigger in Texas. So now it's a week. And, but this is a way to raise awareness of the importance of character education and how schools and families can shape children to be leaders in the future. So that's the sort of what prompted doing a show about character education. And I just want to specifically highlight that the School of Science and Technology has played an important role in drawing attention to this. So this is the part where I'm going to bring the slides in, and you're going to tell us more about the 11 principles and kind of what we can learn from that.
Right. So what character.org did was we created the 11 principles for schools. It's a framework that really is about creating a culture of character. So it's the framework, which is really key because any school can use and be a part of this process because it really goes back to whatever the school is doing. They just need to look at everything that they do through that character lens. And then there's an evaluation tool, a self-assessment that comes along with it. And the schools will assess who they are and where they are on this character journey using those 11 principles. I think you probably want to know a little bit, though, more about what are these 11 principles anyways. So if you can flip to the next slide. The 11 principles really are encompassing everything that you do in a school. So I'm going to go through each one of them just so that you know, but there's some foundational principles to start with. First of all, principles 1 and 11 really are the basis or the foundation. Principle 1 talks about setting core values and getting people off on the right foot on this character journey that they're on. Now, sometimes you can do these principles in any order, and people don't always do principle 1 like immediately, but most of the time they'll do it close to the beginning of their initiative. And then principle 11 is about correcting your course. It's really assessing and then adjusting along the way if something isn't working quite the way that you'd like it to work. So that's what those foundational principles do. And then the 2 through 10 really set the direction of where you're going. Thinking, feeling, and doing is principle 2, really deals with the individual child and how is that child growing in their character. And then principle 3 talks about developing a comprehensive and approach across everything that's intentional. And we want that intentionality. That's a really big key to the whole process. Then principle 4 talks about creating a caring community. Principle 5 talks about having opportunities for students to have moral action through serving. And it's really an interesting way for students to learn. And then principle 6 talks about having that principle 6 talks about the academic side of things and student learning. And are they those lifelong learners? And then principle 7 talks about fostering self-motivation. Principle 8 goes into that accountable community. And how are staff being held accountable for being the character educators? And how are we holding others accountable who are in that role? And then principle 9 talks about the shared leadership and talks about how are we coming together and giving voices to each of the stakeholders. And then principle 10 comes back to how do we involve the families and the community in this whole process along the way. And so in a nutshell, they're much more complicated than that, but in a nutshell, those are the 11 principles.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's, this is the kind of thing where like the more you kind of, the more you read about it, the more you think, well, that makes sense, right? Like these things all have face validity, and I can imagine how, right, like through the work you do, in helping schools to assess themselves, and then as what the schools do as they, involve students in this, that these things all get fleshed out, and that they continue to they make sense, and they move things in the right direction of, how we need to be treating each other, and how we can, have habits that lead us towards success. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. The next topic that we want to talk about was kind of tying it back in with SST Alamo. So I'm going to go ahead and tab up. Oh, how cool. So this is their certificate. Okay.
This is this is SST Alamo's core values, and then their character certificate that we sent them.
Yeah. So for folks in San Antonio who are watching along, so SST Alamo is a campus that's like elementary through middle school grades. It's located on the northeast side of San Antonio, kind of near Morgan's Wonderland. And I remember I guess it was January or so that they had sort of pre-pandemic, but they had like a ceremony to recognize that the school had come through this process, and Tamra, you were part of that. So can you talk more about like kind of what was the process that they went to get all the way to this like national certification?
Right, I sure can. SST Alamo actually did start with a workshop about the 11 principles in their school. You don't have to start that way, but that puts all the faculty and staff on the same playing field. And it was something that they felt strongly about in their building. And then they followed the 11 principle framework. They did the self-assessment, found out their baseline data, and then they kept going back and comparing what they were doing to the self-assessment so that they could continue to grow. Once they realized that they were at the threshold we look at for certifying a school of character, then they could fill out the online application, and they went through a process. We have a 2-step process for becoming a national school of character. The first step is the state school of character, and then they'll have evaluators look at their application, going through it and looking at different ways that they can offer some help to the school. Also, they will look at their strengths, and then they'll offer those suggestions and some possible promising practices, which is another initiative that we have, and they can learn about that. Then in mid-January, the schools will receive that state school of character, or they'll learn where they are on that process. SST Alamo ended up being a state school of character in Texas. And then they moved on to the national level, and they wanted to have their application looked at for that second level right away. Some schools wait a little bit, and they decided they were ready. And so they went to that national review. And then at the national review, typically we do a physical site visit, but because of COVID and all the things going on right now, we do virtual site visits. and work with the schools in a different way. And so that we still get the information we need, and we work to help the schools become stronger. Just because a school becomes a national school of character doesn't mean that they still don't have room to grow and different ways to continue their journey. I always think that we haven't even scratched the surface of what character really looks like in a school, even though we have lots of schools of character across our country and beginning to be across the world. We have people who are very interested, but I'm excited to see how schools will continue deepening their initiatives and continue to help students grow in ways that we never even expected, because that tends to happen with this process.
Yeah, that's I think what was so interesting to me about learning about this is that it's that there's coaching and there's growth and there's like self-evaluation, self-examination that goes into this, and that's, I think, important to how the improvement happens, right? And that no matter how far we come, we can always be introspective and ask ourselves, what could we do better? And having that process of continual improvement is really important, because what schools do is so important for shaping children, and they want to do their best.
And it really does help to sustain their work over time. When they go back and keep looking at that self-assessment, keep going through and seeing where they can improve and deepen their character growth, it just continues to drive character deeper into the culture of their school.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to ask is, so for the families who are listening to this or reading the blog post, if they're thinking, "Hey, my school isn't certified as a school of character yet," like what can you do? So so what is the on-ramp? Like how could like parents like speak up and get their children's schools on this path?
Actually, it happens quite often that parents are a catalyst, where they hear about this process, and they'll go to character.org, go to our website, and they'll look up all the information and take it to the administrators of their building and say, "Hey, we'll be happy to help any way that we can as you go through this process." And it really is a process that includes families, staff, and students in the process, as well as community. And it really brings everyone together in many different ways. So the more parents are willing to help, the better and deeper this initiative is really going to go into a school. So that's the exciting part. But parents can certainly go on our website, get that information. We've even had parents purchase the guidebooks and give them to schools and say, "Please, this is really important." So it's been very interesting to see. But the on-ramp can be anywhere, and taking the self-assessment is that next step. That's also on our website, and people can go and do that self-assessment, see where they are right now, and then continue down that path.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of good ideas spread through parents walking the ideas into the building, whether it's, "Hey, we'd like to see this reading curriculum," or can you we need an archery club, or all kinds of ideas. And I like the idea of parents in San Antonio bringing character.org to their schools and saying, "Hey, let's do this, let's read these books, let's do this self-assessment, and let's see how we can keep improving."
We've even had parents who've had businesses where their business contributes to the school to be able to bring workshops and things to the school. So just lots of different ways. People are very creative, and parents and teachers, I think, are the most creative people on the planet. So
yeah, that's true. And now, one thing that I was interested to learn about is that that character.org is not just directed at schools, but there's also there's resources that businesses can use, like for their own culture, and there's also things that families can do at home, right? So, oh yeah, that's my cue for the next slide, right? Let's see. There we go. Okay.
And we also have sports areas that are involved in becoming sports with character. But really, a family who has core values, they really know the heart of what they stand for in the world. You can keep clicking here. They know what they stand for in the world. Their core values are defined. They find those ways to create that language in their home so that the students know that this is how we live. They use them as their expectations. so that they know that all of us want to live this way. So how do we go about doing that? They practice and really listen to one another. And that's another important thing as well. And then they give each member a voice. It's really important that each person feels that they can contribute to the family in a great way. So having that voice is really important. And then really, when you create a family of character, if you want to flip to the next slide, really creating a family of character, they create their core values, and then they provide opportunities so that each family member can understand, reflect on, internalize, and then practice, which always leads to living the core values. They can embed their core values and other character strengths right into their day, into everything that they do. They create that loving and caring home. They provide opportunities to help and serve others, and they want their children to be a part of that so they can see the modeling of how to do it. But not only that, they can help their students develop that awareness of seeing needs and filling needs, and that's really an important piece. And then they can create an atmosphere where there's growing and learning, and that too is an important thing to continue. And then they can foster self-motivation in their home, providing accountability in respectful ways, sharing leadership, and giving everyone a voice. That voice is really important so that everyone knows that they're important in that family. And then they share the leadership sharing the leadership and giving a voice. Now we're ready. They include extended family, they include their friends, even other community members, because it takes a village for all of us to raise our kids these days, and really in any day it did. And then they continually assess and adjust and say, we're going to propel and keep this moving forward so that we can grow in character in both of our homes. Now, if you notice, each one of those these are the 11 principles that I just went through. So families can also use the 11 principles as they go through these and really find out how to help the culture of their home to be able to be a place of character for all of their family, and also a place of safety, because that's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. So schools can embark in this process and become certified as a school of character, but families can apply that 11 principles framework in their own homes, and the benefits carry into how you interact with your kids and how yeah. I think this is these principles, these are like so useful and flexible, and it's something I'm going to spend some time kind of meditating on. And like you said, well, you mentioned the self-assessment tool for schools. It's something that they can revisit and come back to as a way to, keep centered on the principles. And yeah, I can see this becoming part of our family's practice about how we stay on the same page.
And it does help to do that for sure. It's interesting. A lot of families will use their school's core values because the students want them. And the kids love that. So it really can do it any way, or you can create your own. And then we also have resources for parents too.
Oh yeah, I skipped ahead a little bit. Right, but you mentioned, well, there's lots of books out there, but these two in particular, I think you told me these were a good introduction. They were kind of user-friendly.
They really are. First I'll talk about our forum. We have a forum coming up in March 3rd through 5th. It's virtual. So parents can also sign up. We will have speakers that are parents, and some of the breakout sessions focus on families. So feel free to sign up. Also, if you are an SST Alamo parent, they are going to be celebrated because they are a 2020 National School of Character. And actually in the San Antonio area, so is Woodridge Elementary in the Alamo Heights School District. And so there will be other schools that you'll recognize, and you're welcome to be a part of that celebration as well. And then we do offer virtual workshops for parents, how to set the core values in your home. We do offer some of those different things so families can learn and grow if they're having trouble figuring it out on their own. And then I did bring up these two books. The first book is by Michelle Borba. She wrote the book on Selfie, which takes you through a very user-friendly way as a parent to see developmentally from young all the way through high school, how you can develop empathy in your child. And it's really very well done. And she's just amazing. She's a psychologist for one of them for the Today Show. So you will get lots of great information out of there, which really helps. That whole empathy piece builds that whole foundation for character as well. And then the other one is Dr. Thomas Lacona's book. It's How to Raise Kind Kids and Get Respect, Gratitude, and a Happier Family in the Bargain. And basically, he takes you through how to create that culture of character in your home and talks about those different things. In fact, you'll probably see the 11 principles laced through his book. Well, you will, because I've read it several times. And it's just an easy way for parents to do that. Thomas Lacona was also one of the gurus in character who helped to write the 11 principles. So that's why I said you'll see them laced all the way through that book for parents. So those are just some of the resources that are out there that are great as far as character's concerned.
Yeah. So, I mean, just in these, in these slides, or, like you said, there's the 11 principles framework. It's on the website, but then these are these are opportunities for parents to get support while they're on that journey, right? So like the virtual forum in March 3rd through 5th, the virtual workshops, and then these 2 books that look like, good guidance for parents who want to cultivate this in our own families.
Well, I'll tell you, you can't go wrong. This day and age, we want our kids to grow up to be ethical leaders in whatever field they go into, wherever they are. And we want them to be people of character who stand up for wrong and who really want to do the right things, even when no one else is looking. And I'll tell you, you can't go wrong. I always say that everyone who touches this process changes in some way. I can attest to the fact that I've gone through it many times, and I still find new things as I'm going through the 11 principles that I can apply to my own life. So there's just so many ways that this can help grow and stretch people to help people be more people of character. And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. It makes me really grateful to SST for, the fact that, like, I don't know if I would have been aware of this if it weren't for them. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and take down the slides and do our faces again. There we go. But yeah, I'm grateful to SST because, like through, their activism and finding their partners, they could talk to the governor's office into issuing this proclamation to declare it Character Education Week. Earlier this week, they had an event, like an online forum to talk about character. And they've got more stuff going on. Okay, so I'm going to mention there's a website called thecharacterweek.com, and they're kicking off a poster contest, and it's called Coloring the World with Character. And the poster contest, the deadline isn't until February 7th, but so we've got time to to get the word out. So, so Tamra, I know that this, the Character Week and this poster contest is sort of a Texas-based thing, but I know you're involved in it, right? You said that the leader at character.org is one of the judges.
Dr. Arthur Schwartz, our president of character.org, is actually going to help judge the poster contest, and so that's exciting. And we've been a part of just supporting SST and all of the work that they're doing in the area of character. So we're excited that they are bringing awareness again, like you said, this week. It was interesting. I was on the kickoff yesterday and saw all the different things that they were talking about. The one interesting thing I saw that I really liked that they said was really, we're talking about kicking it off for this whole week, but keeping the awareness so people think about character every day, because that's really the important thing, is to keep it on the forefront of our mind so that we can continue to raise generation after generation where people truly are being good citizens and being people of character that are going to lead this world in a greater way.
Yeah. Because like the older kids get, and then they become the generation that's running things, and we want them to do even better than what generations in the past had done. Be better problem solvers and be more caring, have more empathy. Yeah. So, and taking it back to SST and like the work that they've done, we a teacher at SST Northwest named Amanda Maloney created a fun activity for our blog, and there's a link to it in the description of the video. And it's about, so they did a lesson on campus where they let kids use a meme generator so using humor, but teaching character concepts. And so, and I have anyway, so it's on the website, but like, here's examples of some of the cute memes that her students made. And what I like about this is that, there's a free tool on Google that she links to. And so families can do this at home with their kids. And, let's face it, it's the pandemic. A lot of stuff is still closed, and you're looking for fun things to do at home that are cheap and fun. And this is one of them. And yeah. It's a chance to experience the character stuff. Yeah, they are so creative at SST, and they've given multiple guest posts to us. And so on our website, it's they're all under this banner, Charter a Voyage of Learning. Got to work the charter in there somewhere. But we've had lots of great activities from the really creative SST teachers. But the latest one is we're featuring it on our social media today, but it's this meme generator. She calls her post "Making Memes and Building Character." So there you go.
That's great. Well, I want to thank you too, because this really helps parents. If you weren't doing this blog where they're able to come to your website, excuse me, and see all the things that they can do during this time. I mean, really, that is an act of caring and reaching out to your community and helping them along the way. That's just awesome. So it's exciting. Even the SST parents are reaching out and helping other families across your area. So that's really exciting.
Yeah. That even in spite of just what a strange year this been, it does create opportunities for us to step up and be caring towards each other. And the SST teachers have definitely shown that. The SST parents in our Facebook group, they're always answering questions and talking about what's going on at their school. And I hope that acting together, we can improve education across San Antonio, and that's our goal. And I think the more schools that we can get.
I was just going to say, during this time, especially, parents are more involved in their child's education than ever before. So this really does help. And this is a great thing that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, sometimes you feel like cooking or doing a science experiment, and then, sometimes it's time to, think about big picture, right? Think about like what kinds of people you want your kids to grow up to become, and then and this is a toolkit for that. Yeah.
And you certainly want people in this pandemic and the way that things are, you want people to be helpful to one another. There's lots of ways we can still do that, even if we're socially distancing.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's well, do you have any, that was beautiful. Do you have any other, like any additional closing thoughts or call to action that you want parents to do?
I would just say, get out there and get your schools excited about becoming a school of character. Come to character.org and really look at these 11 principles. Whether you decide to be a certified or not, it doesn't really matter. Applying the principles is the important part. You really do become a school of character going through this process, and it puts character at the forefront, which again is something we all desperately need.
Yeah. Well, that's a great message. So yes. So parents, now we know character.org, we can get these great resources, and we can potentially get our schools on board to get certified. And Tamra, thank you so much. And I'm really proud that, ST Charter Moms is helping to observe Character Education Week. So thanks for joining us.
That's great. Well, truly, it's been my pleasure. I appreciate you having me.
Okay, great. Okay, well, let's keep in touch.
Okay, sounds great.